A world where every shadow hides a spirit, every storm carries a god's wrath. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors lived in fear and awe, weaving tales of gods and ghosts that still haunt us today. But why? Why did they create these stories? Was it fear? Imagination? Or something far stranger, like visitors from another world? Today, we're diving deep into the minds of ancient humans to unravel why they believed in gods, ghosts, and supernatural forces. From eerie rituals in forgotten caves to myths that shaped entire civilizations, this is a story of fear, wonder, and a twist that might make you question everything. Stick around to the end, which could change how you see human history. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors worshipped gods in the sky and feared ghosts in the shadows. But what if those ancient stories weren't myths? What if they were evidence of aliens, interdimensional beings, or even government cover-ups? Could advanced beings have seeded these myths? Some say the gods were visitors from the stars. Chapter 1: The World of the Unknown. Let's rewind to the past. It's 10,000 BCE. You're an early human living in a world you barely understand. A thunderstorm rages overhead, shaking the earth. A loved one falls ill, and no one knows why. Death lurks in every corner, and the night is alive with shadows. What do you do when the world feels so uncontrollable? Our ancestors didn't have science, telescopes, or microscopes, as told to us in history books. They had only their senses and their stories. When a river flooded or a comet blazed across the sky, they didn't see natural forces, they saw intention. A god's anger. A spirit's warning. This is where it all begins, with fear of the unknown. Take the Sumerians, one of the earliest civilizations, around 3000 BCE. They believed demons caused epilepsy, whispering spells to drive them out. Or the ancient Greeks, who saw Zeus hurling lightning bolts from Mount Olympus. These weren't just stories, they were explanations for a world that felt alive and unpredictable. And then there's the mind itself. Dreams, visions, even hallucinations from hunger or sacred plants like ayahuasca, they felt like glimpses into another realm. Shamans, the storytellers of their time, claimed to speak with spirits, cementing the belief that gods and ghosts were real. But our brains are wired to see patterns, even when none exist. It's called agency detection, and it's why a rustling bush wasn't just wind, it was a ghost. Chapter 2: The Psychology Behind. Let's get inside the ancient mind. Humans are built to see faces in the dark, to hear voices in the wind. It's a survival trick, assuming danger kept us alive. But it also made us see spirits everywhere. A falling tree? A spirit's anger? A sudden death? A curse. This is why ghost stories, like one carved on a Mesopotamian tablet from 1500 BCE, describe restless spirits haunting palaces. It wasn't fantasy, it was their reality. Death was the ultimate mystery. When someone died, their absence left a void. But what if they weren't truly gone? Cultures worldwide believed ancestors lingered as spirits, watching over the living. These ghost stories weren't just spooky, they were a way to cope with loss, to feel connected to those who'd passed. And gods? They were the ultimate answer. If a river gave life, it must be a god. If the sun rose each day, it had to be divine. The Egyptians worshipped Ra, the sun god, while the Norse saw Thor in the thunder. By giving human traits to nature, our ancestors made the world feel less chaotic. But there's more to this story, something that tied these beliefs together. Chapter 3: Gods born from nature. Or something else? So, where did the idea of gods come from? Many started as nature itself. Rivers, mountains, stars, they weren't just things, they were alive. This is animism, the belief that everything has a spirit. The indigenous peoples of Australia still honor ancestral spirits in the land, a practice as old as humanity itself. Over time, these spirits grew into gods with names, stories, and power. But gods weren't just about nature, they were about control. By offering sacrifices or prayers, ancient people believed they could influence the gods. In Mesopotamia, the god Enlil kept order, and breaking his rules meant disaster. These stories weren't just myths, they were the glue that held societies together, enforcing morals and uniting tribes. Think of the ancient Greeks, who threw massive festivals for Zeus, like the original Olympic Games. These rituals weren't just worship, they built community, identity, even empires. But here's where it gets wild. What if some of these gods weren't just stories? What if they were inspired by something extraordinary? Chapter 4. Ghost Stories, Coping or Deception. Let's talk ghosts. Why were ancient people so obsessed with spirits of the dead? In ancient Egypt, they mummified bodies to ensure the soul's journey to the afterlife. In Rome, they held festivals to appease restless spirits. These weren't just tales told around a fire, they were warnings. Disrespect the dead, and they might haunt you. One of the oldest ghost stories comes from ancient Ur, around 1500 BCE. A clay tablet describes a spirit haunting a palace, terrifying the living until priests performed a ritual. Sound familiar? Ghost stories were about more than fear. They taught respect for tradition, for burial rites, for the past. But they also kept people in line. A ghost could be a powerful tool for control. And here's a chilling fact: many ghost stories might have come from the mind itself. Shamans used plants like ayahuasca to enter trance states, claiming to meet spirits. Were these visions proof of another world, or just the brain playing tricks? Modern science says psychedelics can create vivid hallucinations, but to ancient people, they were divine encounters. So, were ghosts real? Or a product of our own minds? But what if there's another explanation? Chapter 5, The Alien Hypothesis. Now, let's push the boundaries. What if some of these gods and spirits weren't just imagination? What if they were inspired by something else? In the 1960s, Erich von Däniken shocked the world with a wild idea. What if ancient gods were actually advanced beings, maybe even aliens? Sound crazy? Hear this: the Dogon tribe in Africa described the Sirius star system, including an invisible star, Sirius B, centuries before telescopes confirmed it. No one believed them, only when modern science is able to advance and locate these centuries later. The Sumerians wrote of the Anunnaki, sky gods who brought knowledge. And then there's the Nazca lines in Peru, massive geoglyphs only visible from the skies. Were they signals to the heavens? To gods? Or something else? Many claim, how did these ancient people create art only gods could see if they were unable to fly? Because these can only be seen using a helicopter, or if you're flying high in the sky to see whole sides of mountains or lands. Now, most scholars say these are just myths, products of human ingenuity and imagination. The pyramids, Stonehenge, even the Nazca lines, they were built by humans, with tools we found. But the idea lingers: could advanced beings have sparked these stories? A flashlight in a pre-electric world would look like magic. A flying craft? A god? So, what's the truth? Were gods and ghosts born from fear, dreams, and nature? Or did something, or someone, plant these ideas in ancient minds? The answer might lie in how we see the world today. Even now, with all our science, we're drawn to mysteries, to stories that make us feel alive. From ancient caves to modern minds, the stories of gods, ghosts, and aliens have shaped who we are. They're a window into our fears, our hopes, and maybe, just maybe, something bigger.